Salve te discipuli. This is help for your Latin studies in Henle first year Latin exercise number 139. In this exercise, we are given a Latin sentence and asked to fill in the required personal sign and then translate the sentence. And so we'll remember that your subject and verb need to agree in number and person. And so we want to take a look at what is our subject and then make sure that that personal sign that we give to the verb agrees in person and number. So our subject for this sentence is right here. It's clamor. And clamor, I'm so thankful I have this tabbed because I always want to just flip back to this review of units 1 and 2 that has all of our vocabulary neatly put together. Clamor, clamoris. That was a third declension noun. And it means shouting or shout. And you'll see right here that OR ending, clamor, is puts it as a singular nominative. So that's our subject. The shouting is our subject, and it's because it's in the nominative case, and it's singular. And so we want to the shouting. Now that's a thing. That's it, right? That's going to be third person. So we want to add an ending to our verb that agrees with our subject, which is singular, and it's third person. It's a thing. It's an it. What is terrifying, right? Tereo, terrify. What is terrifying? It, the shouting, right? So it's a third person singular ending that we're looking to add to our verb. So I'm just going to put for number 1, that first part to fill in the required personal sign. Teret. That T ending, that's third person singular. So now that we know that, we can go ahead and translate. So this, we already know clamor means shout or shouting. And then we have hostium, which that stem noun means enemy. We have milites, which we know means soldier or soldiers. And Romanos, that could be a noun. It could also be an adjective. And in this case, I'm thinking it's going to be Roman soldier. It's an adjective. So let's take a look at just this first independent clause. Clamor, hostium, milites, Romanos, non teret. Well, we know our subject is shouting. I'm just going to say the shouting. And then we have hostium. Well, we'll remember hostis, hostis, another third declension noun. Where did it? Right. Hostis, hostis. It's separated from the other list because it's declined differently because of its both the nominative singular and genitive singular having 2 syllables. Then it's declined like pars partis. You'll remember from the grammar book. Okay, so hostis, hostis means enemy. And so if we think through our third declension noun endings, we have various is, em, e. Those are the singular. And then we have ace, or in this case, eum, because of those 2 syllable nominative and genitive forms. So hostium would be plural, ace, eum, and that's genitive, so it's showing possession. The shouting of the enemies. The shouting of the enemies. Now I'm going to look to my verb because I'm thinking this will be my direct object here. We've already got our subject. Non teret. Did or does not terrify. Or is not terrifying. We know that this is in the present tense because we weren't given that tense indicator as some of these other forms are. So this is a present tense verb. So we need to make sure to translate that in the present tense. So the shouting of the enemies does not terrify or is not terrifying. And it's important in this particular case because of that adverb known, which negates the action, that we use a helping verb. Is not terrifying or does not, I mixed those up, didn't I? Or does not terrify. Who or what? Milites Romanos. All right, so let's look again at this noun, milites. We know it's from the third declension, miles, militis. Right? And so we want to go through our endings. We have various, is, em, those are our singular endings. And then ace, so it could be nominative, but that doesn't really make sense in this sentence. So ace, ibis, ace, ibis. So it's also that accusative ending, milites, which would make sense for this sentence because we assumed that would be the direct object, and it is an accusative ending. And then we have Romanos. So I want to look back at adjectives. It's been a while since we really worked with adjectives. And I'm going the wrong way. In my rule book here, we have adjectives of the first and second declension. And you'll remember when we learned about adjectives, adjectives of the first, any adjective, I should say, needs to agree with the noun that it modifies in gender, number, and case. So in this case, we have milites, that's plural, it's masculine, and it's accusative. Okay, so we know those three things about our noun. So we need to make sure, let's just double check that this ending works with this noun. This ending for Romanos should be, it should be plural. What did I say? Gender, number, case. It should be masculine, it should be plural, and it should be accusative. So here's my masculine, here's my plural, here's my accusative, and there it is, os. So it does work and it does make sense that this is an adjective, Roman soldiers. So the shouting of the enemies does not terrify the Roman soldiers. And then we've got a comma and another clause. Quod Romani fortes sunt. Okay, so quod is our conjunction here. And again, I'm just going to flip really neatly back to this unit 1 and 2 review and look at quod. There it is, a conjunction meaning because. Okay, so then I can write because. Because why? Romani fortes sunt. So, Romani. Now here it's acting as a noun. I know that the noun for a Roman is Romanus, Romani. It's a second declension masculine noun. Us, e, o, o. And then in the plural, e, there's our ending, that I with a macron, e, orum, is, os, is. So we know this is our subject of the second clause, and it's plural. Because the Romans, in our verb here, sunt, agrees with that nt ending being plural. And this sunt is just a form of the verb to be. So it's saying the Romans are, and then fortes. This is an adjective. And if I go back to my unit 1 and 2, fortis, forte. brave or strong, right? And I want to just make sure that this ES ending agrees with the noun that it modifies. Now here we have Romani. It's plural, gender number case. It's masculine, plural, nominative. So we want this to be masculine, plural, nominative. But it's an adjective of the third declension. So I'm going to turn the page. Turn the page to these adjectives of the third declension. We're going to look at masculine, plural, nominative. And there it is, that ES ending, fortes. Because the Romans are brave. So these sentences are a little bit more time consuming, but they really cause us to slow down and think about all the things that we've learned. And keep my tip, if you've got this tabbed here, to go back to that Unit 1 and 2 review that has a lot of the nouns and adjectives and conjunctions that we've learned. And then I've also got my grammar book open. For me, I find it helpful for the adjectives because I haven't had as much practice with those. So we've got the adjectives of the third declension on page 16. We've also, if you go back, the adjectives of the first and second declension on page 14, Rule 72. So those, if you are like me and need a little bit more review with your adjectives, it might be helpful to have your blue grammar book open to that section. And yeah, so go through each of these sentences, consider the ending of the verb, that it must agree with the subject of that clause, and then go ahead and translate that. Just slowly go through each of those parts of speech and double check the endings and that they're agreeing with their nouns in the right way. And I hope this has been helpful to you. Have a great day.